अच्छा जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। टुडे आई एम गोइंग टू डिस्कस द टॉपिक ऑफ केमिस्ट्री, जो कि है सबसे पहले फंडामेंटल ऑफ केमिस्ट्री, जिसमें हम लोग केमिस्ट्री के कुछ एलिमेंट्स को देखेंगे, जैसे कि है एल्युमिनियम, जिसका जो सिंबल है वो एल है, ऑर्गन AR, बोरॉन, ब्रोमीन, कैल्शियम, कार्बन, क्लोरीन, फ्लोरीन, हीलियम एंड सो ऑन। सही, ये सारे जो है हमने यहाँ पे लिखे हैं, जितने भी हैं हमारे पास एलिमेंट्स। कॉपर है, आयरन है, लेड है, मरकरी है, सोडियम है। नेक्स्ट हम देखते हैं पीरियोडिक टेबल। पीरियोडिक टेबल में अगर पीरियड्स की बात करें तो 7 हॉरिजॉन्टल रोज हैं उसमें, और 18 वर्टिकल कॉलम्स हैं ग्रुप में। मेन ग्रुप्स की बात करें तो उसमें जो कॉलम है 1A to 2A है, 2 ग्रुप्स में कॉलम जो है 3A to 8A है, 6 ग्रुप में। उसके बाद ट्रांजिशन मेटल्स की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो ट्रांजिशन मेटल्स जो है हमारे पास तो 3B to 2B है, लाइक 8 ग्रुप से 10 कॉलम तक हमारे पास ट्रांजिशन मेटल्स जो है वो पीरियोडिक टेबल में लाई करते हैं। उसके बाद इनर ट्रांजिशन मेटल्स की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो उसमें 14 ग्रुप से लेकर 3B एंड 4B के बिटवीन में है, जो कि लेंथेनाइड्स हैं और एक्टिनाइड्स हैं। उसके बाद एटॉमिक वेट या एटॉमिक मैस की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो जो एटॉमिक मैस होता है वो मतलब वो मैस होता है जो कि एटम का मैस है। इसका जो सिस्टम इंटरनेशनल में इसका यूनिट है वो किलोग्राम है, and the atomic mass is often expressed in the non-SI units. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट है हाउ वुड डिटरमाइन एटॉमिक वेट। एटॉमिक वेट को हम किस तरह डिटरमाइन कर सकते हैं? इसको हम कर सकते हैं बाय मल्टीप्लाइंग द अबंडेंस ऑफ एन आइसोटोप्स ऑफ एन एलिमेंट बाय द एटॉमिक मास ऑफ द एलिमेंट एंड देन एडिंग द रिजल्ट्स टुगेदर। ये नीचे एक सॉल्व भी किया हुआ है कि जितने भी आइसोटोप्स हैं उनको आपस में मल्टीप्लाई किया है और जो एटॉमिक मास है एलिमेंट्स को उनको प्लस करके फिर हमारे पास आंसर आ गया। जो जिसने इसको डिस्कवर किया, जॉन टाइटल एंड थॉमस, 1803 एंड 1805 के बिटवीन में इसको डिस्कवर किया गया। मोल की बात करते हैं तो मोल जो है, द मोल इज द यूनिट ऑफ मेजरमेंट फॉर अमाउंट ऑफ सब्सटेंस इन इंटरनेशनल सिस्टम यूनिट। सिस्टम इंटरनेशनल सिस्टम यूनिट की हम बात करते हैं तो जो मोल है वो एक मेजरमेंट है अमाउंट ऑफ सब्सटेंस की, एंड द मोल ऑफ अ सब्सटेंस और मोल ऑफ अ पार्टिकल इज डिफाइंड एज exactly 6.022 into 10 to the minus part 23. Mixtures and chemical compounds. If you talk about mixtures and chemical compounds, then mixture is a material made up of two or more different substances, which are physically combined. They are combined between. They are combined together, and the mixture is a physical combination of two or more substances in which the identities are retained and are mixed in the form of solution or suspension. If you talk about chemical compound, a chemical compound is a chemical substance composed of many identical molecules, and it's composed of atoms from more than one element that is held by chemical bond. For example, if you talk about water, we all know water consists of two hydrogen atoms and bond with oxygen atom. And if you talk about molecules, a molecule is a particle that is made up of two or more atoms that are chemically bonded together. The number of atomic nuclei making up a molecule is a determined number. And if we talk about an example, and so we have an example of HCl, it is a molecule made up of hydrogen and bonded to the chlorine atom. It is made up of two atoms and is called atomic molecule. Next, if we talk about ions, an ion is an atom or molecule that has a net electrical charge, since the charge of the electron is equal and opposite to that of the proton, and the net charge of the ion is non-zero due to its total number of electrons being unequal to its total number of protons. And next, if we talk about ionic bond, ionic bond is a type of chemical bonding basically, and it's involved in the electrostatic attraction between oppositely charged, like one having positive and electron having a negative charge on it, and it's occurring in ionic compound. It is one of the main types of bonding, along with covalent bonding and metallic bonding. Ions are atoms along electrostatic charge. If we talk about the names of chemical compounds, then we have ammonium, bromide, sulfate, and chloride. Let's we have an introduction of periodic table. Dmitry Mendeleev published the first periodic table in 1869, which is based on the work of physicist Henry Moseley. The periodic table was recognized on the basis of increasing atomic number rather than on atomic weight. The revised table could be used to predict the properties of the elements that had yet to be discovered. Next we have intensity properties. Basically, we have to know about the differentiate between intensive properties and extensive properties. Firstly, we have intensive property, and it is basically independent of sample size, taste, and melting point. It is a chemical property of the element, and extensive property is dependent on sample size, length, and volume. Physical properties, characteristics that do not involve in a change in a sample chemical characteristics makeup. Chemical properties chemical properties that are involved in a change in a sample chemical nature. And if we talk about the structure of atom is the smallest constituent unit of ordinary matter that constitutes a chemical element. Every solid, liquid, gas, and plasma is composed of neutral or ionized atoms. Atoms are extremely small. Typical sizes are around 1000 picometer electric charge, 0 or ion charge. Mass range it's basically is 1.67 10 raised by minus 27 to 4.52 into 10 to raised by minus 25 kilogram. Diameter range 62 pm to 520 pm. And John Dalton was the first who discovered the theory of first modern atomic model. J.J. Thomas was the physicist who credited the discovery of the electron. He used his research on cathode ray tube technology in this discovery. The democrat named atom concept of the atom originated around 440 BC. Let's we have a talk about atomic number. Atomic number are proton number of a atomic number or a proton number of a chemical element is the number of protons found in the nucleus of every atom of that element. The atom number uniquely identifies a chemical element. It is identical to the charge number of the nucleus. Isotopes. If you talk about isotopes are the number, the atoms with identical atomic numbers but different masses number. Like carbon 12, we have a mass number and we have a atomic number, we have a 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. Carbon 13, we have a 13 and 6 mass number and atomic number. Then we have a matter. Matter is any substance that has a mass and takes space by having a volume. Matter, substance, are mixture. Mixture may be a heterogeneous or homogeneous. Substances may be elements or compound. Next, we have a differentiate between covalent and ionic bond. Covalent bond those when two atoms share several electrons, for example, methane, carbon monoxide, iodine monobromide. A transfer of one or more electron from one atom to another. Ion. A charged particle, cations, those having a positively charged particles, and anions, those having a negatively charged particles. Now, let's we know how to balance the equation. The chemical equation needs to be balanced. We know we have a lot of chemical equations that we have to balance all the equations. Basically, they occur when the number of the different atoms of element in the reactant side is equal to that of the product side. Balancing chemical equation is a process of trial and error. Balancing equation that we know that with a C plus H2 and after balancing it's CH4. Next, we have a differentiate between microscopic and macroscopic calculation in chemical equation. First of all, microscopic, two molecules of hydrogen gas react with and 1 molecule of oxygen gas to yield 2 molecules of liquid water. Macroscopic 0.56 of hydrogen gas can react with 4.44 kg of oxygen gas to yield 5.00 kilogram of liquid water. Stoichiometry is the calculation of reactants and product in a chemical reaction. Stoichiometry is found on the law of conservation of mass, where the total mass of the reactant is equal to the total mass. Let's we know about the mole. The mole is the unit of measurement. Mole is the unit of measurement for amount of substance in the international system of unit. A mole of a substance or a mole of particles is defined as exactly, which is 6.02 into 10 to raise by 23, and it may be an atom, ion, or a molecule. Basically, Avogadro's number are units in the mole, and it is equal to 6.02 into 10 to raise by 23. Molar mass of a chemical compound of a sample of the compound divided by the amount of substance is the sample made in the moles. Formula mass is calculated by adding up all the atomic masses for every atom in the formula. Molar volume, the molar volume symbol Vm is the volume occupied by the 1 mole of a substance at a given temperature and pressure. It is equal to the molar mass divided by the mass density. Limiting reactant is a reactant in a chemical reaction that limits the amount of product that can be formed. The reaction will stop when all of the limiting reactants is consumed. Excess reactant, the reactant in a chemical reaction that remains when a reaction stops when the limiting reactant is completely consumed. Empirical formula of a chemical compound is the simplest positively integer ratio of atom percentage composition is of a given compound is defined as a ratio of the amount of each amount of individual element present in the compound multiplied by 100. Molarity indicates the number of moles of solute per liter of solution and is one of the most common units used to measure the concentration of a solution, and the molarity can be used to calculate the volume of solvent or the amount of solute. Dilute is a thinner, weaker by adding water or another solvent to it. Concentrated solution is a solution that contains a large amount of solute, which is relative to the amount that could dissolve. Electrolyte solution, and if we talk about electrolyte solution, electrolytes substances that dissolve in water to yield ion are called electrolytes. It may be a covalent bond which chemically reacts with water to produce ion, or they may be ionic compounds that dissociate to yield their constituent cations and anions when they dissolve. Solubility is a property of a solid, liquid, or gaseous chemical substance called solute to dissolve in a solid, liquid, or gas solvent. Mass की बात करें, if we talk about mass is a property of physical science. It usually measured as gram, kilogram, and an object mass is constant in all circumstances. Contrast this will its weight and force that depends on the gravity. Temperature conversion. Scale of temperature is a methodology of calibrating the physical quantity temperature in metrology. Different units, measuring units are volume, density, and energy. Now let's talk about law of definite proportion. It is also called Peirce law. The law of definite proportion or law of constant composition states that a given chemical compound always contains its component element in a fixed ratio and does not depend on its source and method of preparation. Law of multiple proportion. It states that the law of multiple proportion states that if two elements from more than one compound between them, then the ratio of the masses of the second element, which combined with a fixed mass of the first element, will always be ratios. of small whole number. And if we talk about precision and accuracy, the precision of a measurement system is referred to how close the agreement is between repeated measurements. Measurement can be both accurate and precise. Accurate but not precise, but not accurate are neither. Significant figures each of the digits of a number that are used to express it to require a degree of accuracy starting from the first non-zero digit. It carry meaningful contribution. If we talk about Max Planck theory, now we have our theories and theories. First of all, we have one Max Planck. It states that the energy of light is proportional to the frequency, and the constant that relates them is known as Planck's constant. His work led to Albert Einstein determining that light exists in discrete quarta of energy or photons. Max Planck discovered this theory in 1900. He was a German theoretical physicist who discovered the quantum of action, now known as Planck's constant. The work laid the foundation for quantum theory, which won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1918. The value of Planck's constant is defined as 6.62075 10 raised per minus 34 joule. If you talk about the Rutherford Bohr model presented by the Neil Bohr in 1913, and it's a system consisting of a small dense nucleus surrounded by orbiting electrons similar to the structure of the solar system but with attraction provided by electrostatic forces in place of gravity. Explanation: the Bohr model shows that the electrons in atom are in orbits of differing element around the nucleus. Bohr used the term energy levels to describe these orbits of differing energy. The energy level an electron normally occupies is called its ground state. Principle of Bohr's model: electrons occupy only certain orbitals around the nucleus. Those orbits are stable and are called stationary orbitals. Each orbit has an energy associated with it. If you talk about the main flaws in Bohr atomic models, each early planetary models of the atom suffered from a theory that had the electron spinning in orbit around the nucleus, a charged particle in an electric field. There was no accounting for the field or for the fact that the electron would spin into the nucleus. Advantages of Bohr model: it explained the stability of an atom. According to Bohr, an electron revolving in a particular nature of matter, atoms that have proton, neutron, electron, and nucleus consist matter. It generally exists in four states, that is liquid, solid, gaseous, and plasma state. Chemical properties of matter are classified on the basis of mixed and pure substances. If we talk about quantum number describes the value of conserved quantities in the dynamics of a quantum system. In the case of electron, the quantum number can be defined as a set of numerical values which give acceptable solution to the wave equation for the hydrogen atoms of Aufbau principle. The Aufbau principle from the German Aufbau, also called the Aufbau rule, states that the ground state of the atom or an ion electron fill atomic orbitals of the lowest available energy level before occupying higher level. Who proposed this? Neil Bohr proposed this in 1920. Here is a short explanation of it. Silent features of Hofbauer principle: electron first occupy. No, it's basically a configuration system. It's by mistake I wrote here. So sorry for that. Electron occupy the orbitals whose energy is lowest. This implies that the electron enters orbital having higher energies. Hund's law: every orbital is a subshell and singly occupied before any orbital is doubly occupied. All of the electron in singly occupied orbitals have the same spin. And next we have importance. It is important because you need to know that the ground state of an element to that the further determine the orbital electron configuration of a Pauli exclusion principle. The Pauli principle is a quantum mechanical principle which states that the two or more radical fermions cannot occupy the same quantum state within a quantum system simultaneously. Planck's constant transfer of the energy is quantized and can only occur in discrete units. Energy and mass. According to Einstein theory of relativity, E is equals to mc square, where E is equals to energy, m is equals to mass, and c is equals to speed of light. After rearrangement of equation, m is equals to E over c square. There is a equation of it. It was Einstein who realized that the light would not be explained completely as waves, but had to have particle properties. This is called dual nature of light. Shape of orbitals. We have s orbitals and p orbitals. P are dumbbell shaped and s are the sphericals. Here is a diagram of it. We have a shape of f orbitals and we have a shape of d orbitals. Now we have a diamagnetic and paramagnetic. Diamagnetic materials are repelled by magnetic field and paramagnetic are formed by magnetism, whereby some materials are weakly attracted by an externally applied magnetic field. Now we talk about valence electron. They are at outer shell electron and they are associated with the atom and that can participate in the formation of a chemical bond. If the outer shell is not closed in a single covalent bond, both atoms in the bond contribute one valence electron in order to form a shared pair. Atomic theory is a scientific theory of the nature of matter which states that matter is composed of discrete units called atom. The word atom comes from the ancient Greek adjective atom meaning indivisible. Polar covalent bonds. Polar covalent bonds are a type of chemical bonding where a pair of electron is where a pair of electrons are not equally shared because one atom spend more time with the electrons than the other atom. Dipole moments and intermolecular forces. The bond dipole moment uses the idea of electric dipole moment to measure the polarity, and intermolecular forces are forces which mediate interaction between molecules, including repulsion, which act between molecules, and other types of nebulae particles like atoms or ions. We have a whisper theory, valence shell electrons pair repulsion theory. A whisper theory geometry is to predict the geometry of individual molecules from the number of electron pairs surrounding their central atom. It is also named the Gillespie-Nephron theory of its two main developers, Ronald and Ronald Nahilam. Nahilam. Principle of whisper. The basic principle of whisper theory is that molecule geometry can be predicted based on the notion that electron pairs in molecules tend to repel each other and achieve a maximum separation from each other and achieve a maximum separation from each other. Shape of a whisper. One of the lone pair are called ideal shape. Sorry. Linear, trigonal, planar, and tetrahedral, trigonal, pyramid, and octahedral. ये हमारे पास ये is the shape of it. It's first one is linear, second one is bent, trigonal, and trigonal planar. Next we have a VBT. VBT is one of the two basic theories along with molecular orbital theory, which develops use the method of quantum mechanism to explain chemical bonding. Who proposed VBT? VBT is large part by the American scientists Linus Pauling and John C. Slater. Bonding is accounted for in terms of hybridization of orbitals, and the main points of VBT are to describe the covalent bonding and The theory assumes that electrons occupy atomic orbitals of individual atoms within a molecule, and that the electrons of one atom are attracted to the nucleus of another atom. Limitations of BBT are it fails to explain the tetrahedral valency of carbon. This theory does not discuss the electron energies. The assumptions are about the electrons being localized to specific location. BBT to H2. There is a structure of all molecule. Now we have a MOT and accurate theory. Then valence theory is MOT. Its features are the molecules orbitals are formed by mixing of the atomic orbitals of some energy level and symmetry of the formation of molecules. Orbitals lose their identity. It was developed after a VBT. After the development of VBT, MOT was developed. It is proposed by the effort of British Hood Robert Mulliken, John C. Slater. Originally, it is called as Hund's-Mulliken theory. And here is its structure. First, on the left side, we have atomic orbital 1s. On the right side, we have also atomic orbital, and the downward we have molecular orbitals. Orbital energy level, we have orbital energy of electrons level starting from the least to the greatest is as follow 1s 2s, as I discussed before on the previous page about the configuration and history of the periodic table constructed to represent the patterns. John Neyland and Jelson Lothar Mayer, Dmitry Mendeleev, both men independently developed what is the model periodic table. Group B elements, if we talk about group B elements of periodic table, we have metals that refer to the transition metals. They are located in the middle of the periodic table. And group A elements are arranged by reactivity in the periodic table. The elements in the in group 1A are called the alkali metals. The elements in the group 2A are called alkaline earth metals. The elements in group 4A are called the halogens, and the elements in group A in 7A are called noble gases, and they are the inert gases. If we talk about transition elements, so we have 38 elements in group, which are and the transition elements are 38 elements in group 3 through 12. The periodic metals, periodic table are called transition metal. As with all metals, the transition elements are both ductile and malleable, and they conduct electricity and heat. And if we talk about transition metals, then we have nickel, manganese, zinc, iron, copper, chromium. And if we talk about lanthanides, the lanthanides are a group of 15 chemical elements with atomic number 57 uh, through the atomic number 57, and all of these elements have one valence electron in the 5d shell. And if we talk about actinides, actinide series are contain elements with atomic number 89 to 103, and it's the third group in the periodic table. The series is a row below the actinide series, which is located under Earth's main body of the periodic table. Lanthanides and actinide series are both referred to as rare earth metals. Metals are the metals are the materials that are good conductor of heat and electricity, and they are malleable and ductile, and the general denser than the other elemental substances. Metals are used in transportation, cars, buses, trucks, trains, ships, etc. For example, gold, silver, iron, copper, nickel, aluminum, and titanium. Non-metals are chemical elements that mostly lack the characteristics of a metal physically, and they are poor thermal and electrical conductor. Metallites are semi-metals. They are also known as semi-metals. These metals are containing a property similar and midway between metals and non-metals. They are found to divide. They are found to divide between the periodic table and the metals on the left and the non-metals on the right. Meteorites often have the following properties that could be dull or shiny. If we talk about periodic trend are specific patterns in the properties of chemical element that are revealed in the periodic table of element. Major periodic trends include electronegativity, ionization energy, and chemical activity. And if we talk about bonding trend is a periodic trend affect bonding because of how the elements are arranged on the periodic table. For example, elements can be arranged by their electronegativity. हाइब्रिड की बात करें तो हाइब्रिड इज अ टाइप ऑफ hybridization and it is the concept of mixing atomic orbitals into new hybrid orbitals and is suitable for the pairing of electron and oxides are chemical compounds that are chemical compounds that are at least one oxygen that have at least one oxygen atom and one other elements in its chemical formula. Oxide itself is the dianion of oxygen at O2 atom. Properties of periodic table group: the vertical columns of the periodic table are called group of families because of similar chemical behavior. All the members of a family of elements have the same number of valence electrons uh, and similar chemical properties. And the horizontal rows on the periodic table are called periods.